Hello, this is Dr. Do again. This video is on alphabetic list of problems. Today it's on letter M. Today I'm not going to talk about particularly one disease, but it's about the mineral and our health and what the significance, really what we need those minerals for. So that's about general. When we talk about the minerals, I think it's included in a variety of different elements, like sodium, potassium, calcium, phosphorus, for example, that are the most important to our body. Individually, any conditions associated with these minerals that can cause the emergency situation. I think when we talk about the minerals, it's really referring to those nutrient supplements. But I just extended to the ions or electrolytes together to talk about diseases associated with these ions or minerals, or what kind of roles they play in our health. So let me just bring up the emergency situation associated with this not enough minerals or not enough electrolytes, or overloaded electrolytes, overloaded these minerals and nutrients. Any emergency situation, because it's extended to the electrolyte, to the ions, like the sodium, potassium. Yes, I think if you follow my previous stream of video, you will find the sodium either too much overloaded sodium, or not enough, hyper or hyponatremia. Of course, the same as potassium. These two are quite dangerous and associated with the emergency situation, because they are associated with the arrhythmia that can cause sudden death, or altered mental status is also quite serious if not correct in time fashion, or under the supervision from the medical professions. So medical professionals. So these are the signs of the emergency situation associated with this, either hyper or hyponatremia. I think I mentioned before, altered mental status, feel weakness, and sometimes have seizure with altered urine output, either more or less, depends on the cause, or depends whether it's too much or too less. And that's definitely the sign of the emergency situation. Usually for those people who have the pre-existing other comorbidities, other medical conditions. And for the potassium, either too much or too low, hyper or hypokalemia. I think the serious complication for this potassium abnormality is the arrhythmia, which really warrant the emergency visit to correct it as soon as possible. However, if you recall, I think in 1960s probably mentioned about the potassium was just start to be to draw attention for the medical field. They start to realize hypokalemia is bad, and then they replace it with the fast heavy push that cause the overcorrected heart disease and sudden death. So my point is those minerals are quite important and could be serious if not doing right. So that's the emergency situation for the potassium abnormalities. Hyper or hypo will cause arrhythmia, and the most serious complication for this, the arrhythmia called the VTAC, or sudden death, or asystole. So this is the and in terms of the functions, or can you manage at home, minor or really not defined as the deficit, hypokalemia or hyponatremia, or hyperkalemia or not defined at this. You can, I don't think any conditions associated with these abnormalities you cannot manage at home, have to be managed by the physician, even though the prescription is to take some calcium from over the counter, but still it's good to get advice from the professionals. So let me just talk about the mechanism why the sodium is so important to us. We cannot have it too much, we cannot have it too low. Basically, the sodium and potassium are the the balancing ions across the cell membrane, inside of cells and outside of cells. This keep exchanging all the time in order to maintain the excitement of the cells, which means particularly the nerve cells, to maintain the nerve signal passing down from the center to the peripheral, or from one cell to another cell, or to receive or pass the neurotransmitters. So I'm not talking about details, the opening channel or the triggering action potential. Those are for the medical professionals. But I'm just saying that the sodium and the potassium, one is for example, the potassium is the highly concentrated inside of the cell, and the sodium from outside. From the exchanging influx of the sodium or exflux of potassium maintain the cell potential to generate the signal for the nerve cells and for the muscle cells. So they are so important. If it's too much, then also the sodium always associated with the water. If too much sodium in the body, particularly from the kidney, if sodium absorbed too much or cannot excrete it from the urine, from the kidney, then drag the water along with sodium. So that's one of the mechanisms why the hypertension patient is recommended for low salt diet. I explained to you, because if the sodium is high, then sodium drag the water along. So the water come along with sodium, then water accumulated, overloaded, that will increase the blood pressure, increase the burden of the heart. So then really make the hypertension more serious and hard to control. So that's why the mechanism behind the clinical recommendations for low salt diet, particularly for the hypertension patient. In terms of so this is the fundamental knowledge integrity in our daily life and your disease of hypertension. For the potassium, like I said, in addition to this signaling accompanied with sodium across cell membrane, so for the heart, the potassium is particularly important, and also for the muscle cells. If potassium is not enough, then cause the muscle weakness, which means the signal cannot be generated, the threshold cannot be met. So that then the muscle will feel weak and also feel sluggish. And at the same time, if it's too much, then really the hyperkalemia is really doing the harm to the heart. So will cause the threshold is too high or is too low, so the heart will start to beat the arrhythmia. So that's the non-medical term. But this is about and in terms of calcium is very important particularly for the muscle to maintain the contractibility, the muscle proteins. In order to have the contraction of the muscles, calcium is required. So if low calcium, in addition to the bone, which calcium is the major component of the bone, and also for the muscles, if no calcium, the muscle cannot contract. So these are so is the phosphorus is also the major component for the bone, and also phosphorus is the major energy process. The micromolecules of the energy, ATP, requires the phosphorus. So these are the minerals and extended into the electrolytes, why they're so important to us, and the association with our individual organs or individual system and the function. I hope just give you some idea in case you're wondering why I cannot eat too much salt if I have hypertension, because I like salty food. This to give you hope to answer your question. And I'm going to stop here, and thank you for watching. I will see you next time.